nobody seemed to know anything. And so I think shock was the first thing.
TCU men's basketball coach Jamie Dixon was shocked because of how widespread the scandal is in the sport he's coached for more than 25 years. An FBI investigation linked an executive at Adidas to assistant coaches at high-profile programs around the country in a scheme that paid top high school players to attend Adidas-sponsored schools. The investigation resulted in charges for 4 coaches, and Louisville head coach Rick Pitino lost his job.
I think we'll see improvements. I think it's a good day, to be honest. I think some things will get cleaned up. We meet every day that we have a practice because I know I'm going to be in town. So we'll meet for 10 a.m. and every day there's 2 headings. The first things we're talking about are academics and compliance.
One of TCU's top recruiters says it's important for coaches to focus on the recruit, his family, and the high school coach.
Anywhere you just try to recruit the kid, the parent, the high school coach. And if you can cover those bases, you don't need the outside, people coming into play. But we really try to hone in on the kid and the family, and usually when you do that, good things will happen from there.
Dixon hopes this scandal will lead to a change to allow college coaches to watch fall high school games instead of primarily AAU summer tournaments.
It doesn't make any sense. We say we want to recruit out of the high schools, and here they are playing against each other, and we can't go see it play. That's something I've been fighting for a while. I hope this may be something that leads to that.
Dixon believes TCU is on the right path.
I felt quite comfortable, and we continue to lecture our guys about never going down that road.
Knowing the NCAA and FBI are still investigating. Garrett Podell, TCU Sports Now. We've got a special guest here on TCU Sports Now. Joining us is Alamo Bowl offensive MVP Bram Kohlhausen. Bram, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me as always.
So Bram, TCU's back in the Alamo Bowl 2 years after you led them back from a 31-point comeback. What's the first thing that pops into your mind when I say Alamo Bowl?
For this year's team, I want them to start fast and don't have to come back from 31 points. But Alamo Bowl, I think of San Antonio, a great bowl. That's not a New Year's Six bowl, but it's one of those top bowls where it's 2 good teams. The Pac-12 and Big 12, both runner-ups, they're going to get after it December 28th.
Yeah, going back to the year that you played in the game, what was it like when the horns sounded and you guys had won the game in triple overtime, 47-41?
That was a crazy game, and right when the horn sounded and it was 0-0, the clock read 0-0. I just grabbed a water bottle, grabbed Sam Carter, and said, "Let's go find Coach P and get him and douse him in Gatorade," and that's what we did. I think I caught a cramp on the way over there, but it was all worth it. It was a fun time.
Do you ever go back and watch that game?
I haven't watched it recently, but if I do, I'll always start it around the second half. There wasn't much action for the Frogs in the first half, and that just wouldn't be a fun half to watch,
Absolutely not. And what do you think it'll be like for you watching TCU playing this game, with you having one of the most pivotal roles in the game, setting all kinds of TCU bowl records?
Well, I definitely think Kenny can break them all, but it'll be good to just watch the Alamo Bowl and just bring back good memories of the week leading up, the game, and then after the game, just the whole experience of winning a big bowl game like that.
Will anything TCU does this year in that bowl game be able to top that experience that you had and your team had a couple years ago?
It's a pretty similar team this year. We're not champions yet, but we can be Alamo Bowl champions at the end of the night, beating Stanford.
And you talked about this bowl not being a New Year's Six bowl after TCU had a tough loss to Oklahoma, 41-17, the Big 12 championship game. Washington leapfrogged them in the final polls, and Notre Dame did as well after those two teams didn't play last weekend. How do you think TCU will be able to maintain its motivation after seeing the nation sort of shove it aside a little bit in terms of respect?
I feel like we'll have a chip on our shoulder at all times, but we're playing a good program in Stanford, and how do you not show up for one of those games?
What do you tell Kenny Hill entering this game? It's his last game. The Alamo Bowl 2 years ago was your last game. He's had quite a roller coaster career. He said it himself. What would you tell him entering his final game in the purple and white?
I would tell him to stay focused leading up to the game and start fast. And his arm talent is very phenomenal. So I think he can make a lot of plays, and he'll end up being the other Alamo Bowl offensive MVP.
You said TCU's got to start fast. They obviously didn't do that against Oklahoma, fumbling on the first play. What do the Horned Frogs, in your mind, have to do to start fast this time out against a physical Stanford team?
Go out there with a lot of confidence, sling the ball around, get it in playmakers' hands, and they've been doing it quite a while under Sonny Cumbie. So I've no doubt they'll have any issue doing that in the Alamo Bowl.
Do you think you'll be able to watch this game as a true fan, or you think you'll be breaking down the plays going, I wish they'd gone this way or that way as you're sitting watching the game?
I try to sit back and watch it as a fan. I don't try to stress out or I guess I just trust the process and trust Cumbie and trust Kenny. So it'll be a fun one to watch, and hopefully I'll be there in San Antonio.
How much of an advantage does it give TCU to be playing in San Antonio in the state of Texas, whereas Stanford has to travel all the way from Northern California?
I think it's a huge advantage. It worked out for us against Oregon, and it's one of the better bowl games in Texas, and they have a whole bunch of events that are first class, and it's a good bowl game to be in.
Has TCU reached out to you in terms of coming down for the game or doing anything with the team?
No, they haven't reached out yet. Maybe in the near future, but not so far.
Do you plan on being in the building December 28th?
I think if my calendar works out, I'm going to end up going over there. It's on my way to a buddy's ranch, so maybe I'll have to pit stop in San Antonio and watch Kenny and the Frogs get a big W.
Absolutely. And last question for you, Bram. What's your score prediction? Who's going to win this Alamo Bowl?
Let's give it 49-21. Kenny Hill throws for 5 touchdowns.
Wow. Big offensive performance for the Frogs, huh?
Let's go.
Thank you so much, Bram, for your time. We really appreciate you stopping by TCU Sports Now.
Yeah, thanks for having me.